Hey guys, let me turn that down. I don't want to get copyrighted. I have like 5 billion copyright strikes, but that's nobody's business. So, are you manifesting your SP and you feel like you're doing everything right and like you're seeing so many birds before land, you know, like you're seeing their name, or maybe somebody who's just like them comes into your life, other people you know, or getting into relationships, whatever it may be. I'm gonna fix your little problem. I was home and I saw this video. I was like, I gotta talk about this. I'm gonna actually include the video at the end. You can follow the creator because it was a very good, insightful video. So when we're manifesting specifically a specific person, we have such a strong liking to them that we put them on a pedestal. And I'm sure you've heard that term before if you have been into manifesting. They're like, just don't put them on the pedestal, don't do it. And we never really know as to why or how, but it's because of your ego. Your ego senses that this person, that you have like a stronger liking to this person than, like, I don't know, your brother or your best friend or your mom, whatever it may be. So it wants to protect you. So by protecting you, your ego puts this person higher than you. Like, I don't really know how else to explain it. The video will explain it better. But that can hinder your manifestation because of that fear. You don't want to get hurt. Although, like, you're doing all the right steps, you're visualizing, you're affirming, you're living in the end. These things are very important to really work on because your person can feel that fear and they're thinking about you, but that might be why they have not come in yet. So how can we change these root beliefs? Well, you can affirm. That's what I do. Like, whenever I have this like stigma around something like that, I don't even realize till much later. I usually affirm against it, you know, like, oh, I don't have this person on the pedestal. Oh, like, this person's like some average Joe. I don't know. I'll think up some affirmations for you. But if you're like, how do I know if I'm doing this? Because you're gonna realize. So let's say you lose a follower on Instagram. Is your first thought that person's your SP and you go check? Are you still checking for their notification? Are you still checking if they viewed your story? Are you still anxiously opening your phone and looking for a text from them? Those are all things that will hinder this manifestation. That's actually why it's easier to manifest some like random person than it is for your SP. And it's not even because SP manifestation is hard. It's that one little key, that one little bump off the pedestal is what will get you your manifestation so much faster. I'm going to insert the video here. I will try to think up some affirmations. Maybe I'll put them in the video, maybe I'll put them in the comments, but I'm almost at my house, so I just wanted to share that little tidbit of information with you, so I hope it helps.
So the reason why you're getting attention from motherfuckers that you don't want, but your SP has not conformed, is because you give a fuck. Now, how do you stop giving a fuck about someone that you have feelings for? Understand this. First of all, when you start catching feelings for someone like that, like you want to knock boots with them, all of these emotions are going to be summoned forth within your physical vessel, and you're going to start to feel in all sorts of ways, which is not typically how you feel about dealing with your family or dealing with regular friends or coworkers or acquaintances, right? So your ego is seeing these heightened emotions and recognizes that there is an importance to this specific person coming from you. So when the ego recognizes that there is an importance, it places that thing on the pedestal. Think of a fine bottle of wine that someone is saving for a special occasion and they never want to touch it and they leave it sitting there, and then what happens? They're like, oh, no one can drink from that bottle of wine because I'm saving it for a special occasion and it's so important to me. And then the fucking bottle of wine just fucking shatters out of nowhere. Okay? When you're placing so much emphasis on the importance of something, you are causing resistance to it. That's why you open up a fucking 6-pack of beer, no problem, you don't give a fuck, you don't have resistance to that, and you enjoy your little fucking beer buzz. But that fine bottle of wine, oh no, but it's important. So you place it on a pedestal, but unbeknownst to you, that pedestal is actually going to come crashing down, and that bottle of wine is gonna fucking shatter, and you're not gonna be able to drink it anyway. Which is why shit gets fucked up with your specific person, because you give a shit, you place them on a pedestal, but you didn't realize that you placed them on a pedestal. And now your ego is gonna think back, there's heightened emotions in regards to this person. Let's place it on a pedestal so we can protect this motherfucker right here, meaning you, from getting hurt. And what we're going to do is bring up all the instances from the past or an anxiety about the future that comes from a situation or something you observed that came from the past, a fear, We are going to instill fear in this motherfucker so that they don't fully open up and trust that this connection with this specific person is the real deal. We are going to tell them about their ex. We're going to tell them about relationships that they have witnessed in the past, maybe in person, maybe through other motherfuckers, maybe through societal programs. All men are like this, all women are like that. All men only want one thing, all women only want one thing. We're gonna put all of this shit into this motherfucker's mind because we see the heightened emotions and we don't want this motherfucker to get too excited because what if it doesn't work out? So you're saving that motherfucker like the bottle of wine on the pedestal and you're not opened up to the energy of love because you're constricted by fear, because that's what's happening. Which is why the motherfuckers that you don't give a fuck about just flock to you left, right, and sideways because you don't care. Now think of your best friend. You love your best friend. You care for your best friend. You trust your best friend. You feel safe with your best friend. But you don't have those heightened emotions because you're not trying to smash your best friend. You're just like, yeah, we're cool. So your ego is not sensing those heightened emotions coming from within you. So they're not placing your best friend on a pedestal. When you have heightened emotions for someone, your ego is sensing that as, ooh, this is not normal. This is a potential threat to this motherfucker's well-being, because that love and the ego are kind of at odds with each other, right? Because the ego wants to keep you in a third dimensional confine of what could go wrong and potential problems and logic and things like that. But when you are truly in the energy of freedom, of love, of good vibes, of all of that shit, your SP has no choice but to conform. So think of all of the backstories you have about relationships in general, about people that you date in general. Are there old stories coming up for you? Are there things that you have as a program in you about relationships in general, whether it came from you or someone you know or society as a whole? What stories do you have about that? Because I guarantee you that is the only reason why your specific person has not conformed, because you give a fuck and your ego placed him on a pedestal so that you can be protected from that. But at the same time, you're not enjoying the experience with your specific person because you're not in the energy of love. So how can you have a loving relationship with a motherfucker if you're in a state of fear? The two cannot coexist. You're either viewing your specific person through the eyes of love or through the eyes of fear. Oh, but what if this happens? What if that happens? Oh, you're fucking stalking them on social media, or you're looking at 3D circumstance, or you're replaying conversations, or you're thinking, oh, your ex did this, or you saw in a movie this happened, or whatever bullshit that is. And that's the ego's job, to try to keep you safe, to keep you thinking on your toes, right? But when you want a relationship with someone, you cannot be in the energy of fear and the energy of love at the same time. So think about, not that your specific person is separate from you because they're always getting what you want, and that's why they might have started acting funny once you realize that you caught feelings. Because a lot of times I hear from motherfuckers who be like, oh, everything was all in good, but then I caught feelings and this happened and that happened, right? What you have to understand is that this person that you want to be with, if you are not viewing them through the lens of love, if you're viewing them from the ego through the lens of fear, then they're still picking up your thoughts for them. You could be like, oh, I'm in love with this motherfucker, but oh, they didn't do this, oh, but they said that, oh, but this, oh, but that. You're not thinking like that about anyone else because you don't have heightened emotions for anyone else. So there's less of a possibility of you getting hurt or abandoned or rejected from someone that you don't have these heightened emotions for, because you're simply not looking at them through the lens of fear. If your best friend doesn't get back to you for 3 hours, you're likely not going to give a shit because you know they're always going to get back to you. But if it's your specific person, you start getting, oh, what are they doing? You get jumpy. Stop that. Realize where your fucking story about relationships is limiting you from this relationship that you want with this person. Because everyone can and will conform, but you cannot look at this person from a place of fear and expect a positive outcome. You cannot. The two cannot coexist. You're either in love with this motherfucker and you're viewing them with only love, or you're afraid of something in this motherfucker, right? You're afraid that they're going to do something. You're afraid that they're going to leave you. You're afraid they're going to reject you. Whatever the case may be, and when you're afraid of someone, you're placing all the power on them when the power is in you. But you gave them your fucking power, which is why you might victimize yourself and say, oh, but they did this, oh, but they said that, and but you did that. You gave your power away because you listened to the ego and you listened to the fear, and you didn't open yourself up to the energy of fucking love, which is what you wanted to begin with. So don't say you love this motherfucker, but then wonder why they didn't text you back in 30 seconds. Don't say you love this motherfucker, but then try to look for evidence that there's some shady shit going on. Do you see how that contradicts itself? What are your stories about relationships in general? Let's start with that. If you have a story, sort that shit out, get it out of your psyche, and manifest this motherfucker. Come on.